All I know is Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
We'll be hosting the Iowa Hawkeyes as 23-point underdogs.
Yeah.
So we got all week to preview that game, so let's wait on that.
Can we? You made mention of it. Was that the best edition of the game between Michigan and Ohio State of all time? Was that the
all time?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'm going that far. It was a really good game.
It was a really dope game.
It was awesome. And honestly, kind of had a little bit of everything that you were looking for, like momentum swings and kind of the drama and everything else. And I think that the one thing that killed me was seeing Zach Zinner, who's one of the best offensive linemen in the country, go down. And a lot of people, who don't follow college football, he came back for his senior year because they wanted a shot at winning a national championship.
Dang.
And to have him go down, he's going to be a top draft pick. I don't know how this is going to impact things moving forward. I think he'll be fine, but you hate seeing that. It was a gruesome injury.
Was that a knee brace injury? Because he had the knee brace on, there was no give, and the knee.
He ended up fracturing both tibia, fibula.
Ugh.
So
damn.
I can't go into the specifics of whether the Donjoy played a role in that, but the greater thing is it just stinks when you see that. That was like the only downside of the game. Outside of that, it had like all the drama and intrigue you're looking for. And I said it after the game, and I thought the thing that stood out the most to me was Sharon Moore and his play calling and the aggressiveness at which he called the game as their play caller, their interim head coach and their O-line coach. He really did early set the tone, going for fourth downs. The halfback pass, when he called it, came at such a moment where it was wide open. It's one of those play calls in a big game where if it doesn't go well,
you blame them.
That stands out.
Yeah.
But when it does, you then are the genius, and just to have the cojones to do it was incredible. And I thought it was just interesting that for a guy who could be interviewing, depending on what happens with Jim Harbaugh after the season, could be interviewing for the Michigan head coaching job to replace Jim Harbaugh, he really took it and ran with it the past 3 weeks.
He definitely did.
And he was the difference. Like, if you look between him and Ryan Day, I thought Ryan Day called that game and managed that game extremely conservatively.
Yes, he did. Like, I agree.
I thought early in the game there was a fourth down that I kind of looked at Coach Meyer and I was like, I might think about going for this. Now, granted, you make that decision if you're the type of person that wants to dictate things to your opponent. And that's more of how I kind of see the game from time to time, and especially the way the past 2 years have gone. That could have been a statement play for Ohio State. Now, I understand why Ryan Day didn't. You're in your own territory. Your defense has been really good all year. So you're betting that Michigan's not going to be able to go the long, hard way to get scores. But the reality is when Michigan needed to, they did, and in large part because what Ryan Day wasn't willing to do, Sharon Moore was. And he was willing to take those chances on fourth downs. He was willing to take those chances when he threw the football, how he threw the football. And I just thought in the end, Michigan, I don't even know, this price comes off as controversial, if they're necessarily even the better team, but they were that day, and the way he coached them, he made them the better team.
Michigan was not the better team, but they played better than Ohio State. I think Ohio State left a lot on the table offensively. I don't understand why they didn't work. And listen, Marvin Harrison Jr. had over 100 yards, but why do you not work to get him more involved in your offensive scheme during this game? It's the biggest game of the year. How do you not get him more involved? Like, I just didn't understand. I didn't understand that. And your defense is going to play well. They're going to play tough defense. But with that being said, Michigan ended up doing Ohio State's defense the same exact way they did Penn State's defense. I mean, make no mistake about it. They were running that ball.
Was it 22 straight times?
They were running that ball.
Won the rushing category, won the game.
They were running that ball. Them boys was running that ball. The same exact. I mean, they might have had bigger runs against us, but they were pounding them boys with that run, man.
The other thing that's crazy is Ohio State, when Travion Henderson rushes for 75 yards or more, are undefeated. Literally, like I think they were 18-0 coming into the game.
He was 15 yards off from that.
And that's the reality is, who knows how he was impacted by the injury. He ended up limping off the field at one point. I think he got his ankle rolled up on. But to your point, LaVar, Henderson, Harrison are the two players that are just they're when they're at their game, when they're healthy at their best, they're better than anyone else on the field.
Yes, they are.
And I think that's what's probably stood out a little bit to me too about Ryan Day is in the past we've seen him be able to scheme some things up where he got a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. open, or he put him in different positions to allow him to avoid being taken away. And it's just you go down to that final drive and you're like, who was it? It was Marvin Harrison. Like even the interception. McCord was going to the right spot. If he gets that ball off, he was throwing that at the right time to the right spot because Harrison was coming open on the deep dig, but he just got hit when he threw and the ball kind of flailed out of there. You felt like when they needed to, they went to him, and then instead of doing it the entire game, they only did it as a response to a Michigan score. And it just seemed really conservative. Mm-hmm. And so I can understand the frustration from Ohio State fans. And obviously, if you're Michigan, no Jim Harbaugh. Connor Stallions hasn't been a part of the university organization, the team, whatever you want to call it, and yet they still get a win. And I kind of look at it as like this season's almost vindication for Michigan if they win the Big Ten this week, if they go into the playoff and win a national championship.
You did see that Stephen A., which I know, but I thought it was interesting, said that they shouldn't be able to play in the playoff.
Well, I don't care about that.
When somebody brings that up,
it hasn't. I've said this before, and people ask me when we're on there. People have overblown this entire thing. They've overblown the entire thing. There's other teams that have done it in various ways. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how great of an impact it even plays in-game because very similar to TCU in the semifinal game last year, they knew Michigan was doing it. They changed every single call, every signal. And it wasn't like Michigan's defense was stopping TCU. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, it can play to your advantage, but taking stuff that they did in prior games – and then applying it in-game like things don't change or the teams don't make adjustments, you have to be in-game able to do it. That's all legal. So I think it's one of the more overblown things, and I think it's because Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have been pretty dominant that people are looking to point the finger. To me, if you're the NCAA, you're going to investigate Michigan, go investigate every team in the country. Like, go find more about every single team in the country and see if other schools aren't doing it and to what capacity.
Between the game, the Iron Bowl, the Apple Cup, that was a hell of a Saturday for college football. That was fantastic. The finishing at Jordan Hare with,
that's maybe the most crazy play. 4th and 31, 4th and goal, 31 for the win to have a shot in SEC and making the playoff for Bama.
Oh, man.
And by the way, it wasn't a push-off. They were both kind of back and forth with each other. Like, that was an unbelievable throw and great catch by Bond.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then to see Washington State was a great finish. Oh, my gosh.
The Florida State game was – there was just –
man.
You could tell teams did not want – the other teams to win.
You know what I love,
they did not want them to go undefeated.
Even like low-key rivalries like Virginia Tech. Did you see after Virginia Tech came out in the field and they wanted to take a photo like commemorating the win and UVA landscaper turned on the sprinklers while they're out there on the field? Like, just little stuff like that, dude, makes college football so much fun. It really does.